Okay, welcome. We are live. This is Charlie Morley, the lucid dreaming teacher and author, and I'm doing a 2019 retreat special. So basically for the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about the lucid dreaming retreats that I run and the shadow work retreats too. So what actually happens on these lucid dreaming retreats? Okay, the workshops are like a weekend where you do 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday and you stay in your own house. The retreats are very different. The retreats are 4 or 3 day intensive, like boot camp lucid dreaming retreats. So during the day, you're learning the lucid dreaming techniques. We're doing some physical yoga stuff. We're doing at least an hour of meditation. We're learning all the philosophy and all the history of lucid dreaming and dream yoga. And then at night, if you like, you can go to bed at 10:30 and then wake up at 8 for breakfast. But for those who are brave enough, you will bed down at 10:30 at night. And then at 3:30 in the morning, you will set your alarm clock and you will wake up and you will move from your bedroom to the sacred sleeping area where you will find me with Tibetan singing bowls and the lights low and all this kind of magical, mystical stuff. And you will have bed number 2. So you move from bed number 1 in your bedroom to bed number 2 in the sacred sleeping area. You then move to your bed and I give you a lucid dreaming practice to do and I guide you back into the practice. Then 1.5 hours later, with Tibetan bowls and very kind of low lighting, I wake you up again gently. And I ask you to record your experience. So everyone's there writing down their dreams, noticing any lucid dreams they had, any insights, just for 5 minutes. Then lights go down, I give you another practice and I guide you back in again. Another 1.5 hours of sleep, and then you're woken again. Write down your experience, record any insights, record any lucid dreams you had. Then I'll give you another practice, guide you back in again. You do that 4 times a night. So you do a 3:30 wake up, then 5 a.m., then 6:30, then 8 a.m. for breakfast. Now, why the hell would you want to do this? Okay, this is called the multiple wake-ups technique, and I didn't invent it. This is like an ancient Tibetan technique that basically says if you fall asleep once and wake up once in the morning, you've got 1 chance at lucid dreaming, 1 chance at remembering your dreams, 1 chance at having the big, insightful dreams of guidance. Whereas if some crazy guy wakes you up 4 times a night, you've just quadrupled your chances of success. Now, not the whole group don't choose to do it. So let's say I've got a big retreat, maybe 50 or 60 people. About 1/3 or maybe 1/2 of the group will choose to do the nighttime practices. The other half or other third or other 2/3 will choose to stay in their bedroom and just sleep, or to follow the same schedule but in the comfort of their own bed. I mean, my wife Jade often says this is nuts that people pay you to wake them up at 3:30 in the morning. Why would they do this? Just stay in your bed. So it's not for everyone, but some people really like it. Because when you come down to that sacred sleeping area at 3:30 and you're surrounded by other dream warriors who are there specifically to lucid dream, the energy in that room. And I do some Tibetan chanting and stuff like that, and it creates quite a nice atmosphere. People describe it as like a spiritual slumber party or a spiritual pajama party. So for some, it's really cool, others not so much. The retreat isn't dependent on it, but it is one of the highlights for people. Just because it's something so weird, it's like, you know, it's such a strange thing to tell people, oh, we did this retreat and then we wake up at 3:30, then you fall back asleep again, you do that 4 times a night. But the main thing is it maximizes people's potential for getting lucid. So you do often have a lot of lucid dreams or much higher frequency of lucid dreams on those retreats than on the simple workshops. Yeah, and the retreats are usually in beautiful places. So I'm going to talk about the Holy Isle retreat in Scotland, which is just, Holy Isle is just an amazing, amazing place. That's a larger retreat, maybe 50 or 60 people will be attending that. And then there's the Anamcara retreat, which is also in Scotland, but in the Highlands near Inverness. And that's very small, that's like 15 people. So I try and make retreats if people want a really small group, really intimate setting, there's 15. And then if people are up for a real kind of big energy, kind of big vibe retreat, then Holy Isle goes up to 50 or 60 participants. So there's something for everyone. Now, the shadow retreat you see on my website, which says Embracing the Shadow, is not a lucid dreaming retreat. It will have lucid dreaming aspects, and we might even do some of the nighttime practices, but it doesn't have the whole waking up at 3:30 and all that kind of stuff. Because rather than focusing on lucid dreaming, the art of becoming fully conscious within your dreams and then learning to guide the dream at will for psychospiritual growth and development, the shadow retreats are about integration of the shadow. What is the shadow? The shadow is any aspect of ourself that we hide from ourselves and others. So it's the dark side of the psyche. But not dark meaning bad or evil or malign, dark meaning yet to be illuminated. So the Embracing the Shadow retreat is about learning radical authenticity. It's about owning our shit. It's about dropping the mask. It's about looking at who we really are and being okay with that in all our magnificent messiness. There's all the information and videos about what the shadow is and the practices that we do, but I'll look at that a little bit later. There is a TV documentary actually about one of my lucid dreaming retreats. If you go onto YouTube and put in Charlie Morley TV documentary, you will see a very youthful looking Charlie. I'm about 28 or something in the video, and look annoyingly much younger than I look now. And that's like a 45-minute documentary that the South African kind of BBC did. It's called SABC. It's like their kind of BBC channel in South Africa. So that's on my website too. Or on YouTube. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these retreats. By the way, I can see questions coming through and stuff. I'm going to do Q&A at the end. So any questions, just pop them in the comment box and I'll sort them all out. Oh, if there are any questions coming on Instagram, I maybe can't answer your question because I can't move the phone because you're kind of propped up against a bit of the laptop. Anyway, okay, so my first retreat of the year is in May. It is the Venice Embracing the Shadow Retreat. That's in a really nice venue. It's like a hotel, simple hotel, not like super posh, but pretty nice hotel right on the beach. It's like literally the hotel ends and then there's a beach, sandy beach. So that's nice. If someone wants like a little bit of a holiday as well as a retreat, then that one's good. However, I should say that's the Embracing the Shadow Retreat. So to say Embracing the Shadow Retreat is a holiday is an oxymoron. It's not. It's going to be really hard work. Well, not hard work, but deep work. We're going to really be uncovering our shadow, owning our goals, stepping into our fullest potential. But also in the breaks and in the afternoons, you'll be able to go and sunbathe on the beach. So if you're up for that, and it's in May, like 15th to 19th of May, that's going to be hot. We did a similar, same venue, similar time last year, and it was boiling. So yeah, if you want to get a tan and embrace your shit, that's the one for you. The next retreat I've got is on the 20th to 24th of May. This is for veterans. I'm not sure it's sold out yet, but it's almost sold out. If you know any veterans of the armed forces, or in fact, any people struggling or working with post-traumatic stress disorder who would like to come on a mindfulness retreat with aspects of lucid dreaming, then I'll be a guest teacher on a retreat run by a wonderful guy called Keith McKenzie, who is a mindfulness teacher and a veteran of the Parachute Regiment of the British Armed Forces. That retreat will be mainly veterans, but there will be a few people who are not veterans, veterans' family members, firefighters, blue light services, anyone who has got stress or trauma affected sleep patterns are welcome on that retreat. Again, all these are on my website. Go to charliemorley.com and check the events page for all of these being listed. The first lucid dreaming retreat of the year that I have is on the 30th of May to the 2nd of June, and that's in Barcelona. It's not actually Barcelona, it's more closer to Girona. But Barcelona is the nearest kind of big city, and that is in a nunnery. So if you're up for a full-on Tibetan Buddhist experience where nuns are the organizers, then come to that one. And it's very well organized, as you would expect for mindful Buddhist nuns. It's also pretty good value because it's run by the nunnery, so they're not out to make a lot of money from the retreat. That's a really beautiful setting. Again, it's going to be warm. That's the full-on sleepover retreat, waking up in the night, all that kind of stuff. So that's the first lucid dreaming retreat of the year. Then in June, I'm off to New York. Well, New York State, brilliant venue called Omega, which is pretty well known. It's got a really good history, and that is a lucid dreaming and shadow retreat together. So that will be the sleepover practices, all the lucid dreaming practices, that kind of stuff, as well as the shadow work. So that's like a 5-day retreat in New York State. So anyone on the East Coast who wants to explore both lucid dreaming and the shadow, then check out that one. I know people have had problems with the booking link. The link is now open since February the 1st. The link's now open. Then in June, one of my favorite retreats of the year, the Holy Isle Lucid Dreaming Immersive Retreat. Okay, Holy Isle is an amazing place. It is a tiny island off the coast of Scotland. It was discovered by Lama Yeshe Rinpoche in a lucid dream. Obviously, the isle existed. It's been a place of Christian pilgrimage for hundreds of years. Saint Malasha, a Christian mystic from the 6th century, has his cave there, and you can still go to the cave and visit it and see where he sat and stuff. But Lama Yeshe Rinpoche, my Tibetan Buddhist teacher, he had a out-of-body experience, actually more than a lucid dream. He had an out-of-body experience that he was flying over this island. He knew the island was very significant. Then a few years later, this woman rings up Sameling Monastery, saying, I've had a dream that the Virgin Mary told me I must sell my island to the Buddhists. Lama Yeshe was like, oh, I don't want to buy your island. But she kept on ringing back. He thought, okay, well, look, let's go and visit in case there's some sort of significance there. He went to the island, and as soon as he got there, he was like, whoa, this is the place I visited in my out-of-body experience. I mean, this is a crazy synchronicity. So he said to the lady, can I spend the night here? And she's like, well, no, there's nowhere to stay. There's just the old, there was like an old barn with no roof. And he was like, well, look, I need to stay here. Because what he was going to do was that night have another out-of-body experience, so he could go out the top of his head, look down on the island and kind of check and go, oh yeah, it's the same shape of the island. It really is the one I had in my OBE a few years ago. He did it, confirmed it, and eventually bought the island. I mean, this is freaking crazy. This is like a plot from a Harry Potter movie, right? But that's true. That's what happened. In fact, there's even more to the story, which I don't have time to say. So I can think of no place better suited for a lucid dreaming retreat than Holy Isle. It was literally discovered in a lucid dream out-of-body experience. That'll be a big retreat that usually sells out about 50 people. So if you don't like such a big group, it's not so good. But if you're up for real kind of high energy, really good retreat, then that's brilliant. The island itself is just amazing. There's St. Malach's Cave. There's like, wild horses. It's the only place in Europe to have fully wild horses. They're not culled, they're not bred, they're not fed. So you will see the wild horses. And it's also got a no-kill zone around the island. So no fishing, no trawling, no nothing. It's really kind of like, I think it's as close to Shangri-La as you'd get. Like, to be honest, if it was all kicking off, if like nuclear war was heading our way, I would get myself to Holy Isle. Because it's off the grid, they grow their own food. It's got this like sacred energy around it. Yeah, so Holy Isle that'll be a really good retreat. That may well sell out. So book your place soon if you're up for it. Then in August, I have a lucid dreaming retreat. That'll be the same retreat, the same kind of schedule as I do at Holy Isle, but this will be at Anam Cara, which is a Buddhist shamanic center. It's run by a couple who one is a Buddhist and one is into shamanic practices. So it's kind of both. And that's in Inverness. Really, really beautiful. Small, only 15 people on that retreat. So a lot of one-on-one time, a lot of working in small groups together. And that's on the 29th of August to the 1st of September. Again, that's the full-on lucid dream retreat, waking up in the night, all that kind of stuff. Then September, I'm back to Holy Isle again, the famous Holy Isle, but this time doing the Embracing the Shadow retreat. So if you want to spend 4 days on this beautiful holy island, looking at your stuff, going deep into vulnerability, deep into authenticity, looking at the sexual shadow, looking at the ancestral shadow, looking at the shadow we project onto others, looking at how we can connect with each other through radical authenticity, then that's a really good retreat to check out. And then the next month, the same retreat in Anam Cara. So you see, I usually do one of the big retreats in Holy Isle 1 month, and then the next month I'll do it at Anam Cara. And then the last retreat I've got of this year so far, there might be a few more booked in, is Embracing the Shadow retreat at that monastery in Girona, Barcelona. So same thing, the monastery run by the nuns up in the mountains by Girona, but this is the Embracing Shadow retreat rather than the Lucid Dreaming retreat. So that's all the retreats that I've got so far. Why? Sorry. Why do a retreat? Oh, has anyone noticed the pineapple, by the way? That way. I put a pineapple there to see if you guys would reality check. So I hope some of you guys have noticed and are currently checking if you're in a lucid dream or not. Why come on the retreat? I've jokingly called it Lucid Dreaming Boot Camp, and it pretty much is it. You know, it's 4 days intensive where there's no work to go to, there's no kids to wake up and take to school, there's nothing distracting you, there's no Wi-Fi or kind of very little connectivity in a lot of the places I do these retreats. So it's 4 days of intensively turning inwardly, looking at your dreams, looking at your shadow, training in the lucid dreaming practices. And for many people, that works really, really well. The lucid dreaming retreats and the shadow retreats usually have an element of silence to them. So we're often silent from the wake up at 8 a.m. until the end of lunch. So basically, each day you have half a day of silence. The reason we're in silence is just to let people process, let people do their thing, and also to remember their dreams. Because you might have people waking up in the morning and they can't remember any of their dreams. They feel like they failed, blah, 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 blah. But then you give them some silence, and over breakfast, they're kind of relaxed. Something comes back. You'll see them reaching for their phone, reaching for their dream diary and writing up their dreams. So we have silence up until lunch. Then, of course, we work deeply through the night. And the retreats are fun. You know, I don't want to have 4 days of not having fun. I want to have 4 days of fun, but I want to go deep because I'm doing my practice on these retreats too. You know, I'm there with you at 3:30 in the morning, dropping down to the lucid dream. I'm there at 5 a.m. again, dropping down to lucid dream. I'm not observing these retreats. I'm there with you. And I think that kind of energetic connection means you get a really strong vibe, not only with the other retreatants, but with me too. And that energy put together, I think, is what kind of boosts people's lucidity a little bit. Okay, let's see some questions coming through about the retreats. Will we be doing it in May at the retreat? From Chris Dunlap, who will be on the Veterans Retreat. Dude, I don't know if we're going to do the full-on kind of wake up stuff where we wake up 4 times a night. I think because the Veterans Retreat, there's so many different levels going on, and there's such a beautiful vulnerability within the group because people are sharing such deep stuff around maybe stress or trauma affected sleep patterns, that doing those 4 wake ups a night probably isn't so good. And it's probably better for us to just to bed down and see if we can actually sleep through the night, especially if we're working with people with insomnia. But Chris, you're always welcome on any of my retreats, man. And I will always try and make it so veterans don't have to pay to come on my retreats or my workshops. So yeah, if anything, if you fancy something, then I'll make sure that I kind of waive my fee at least. Yeah, if you want to come on the retreat. Okay. Finding it difficult to lucid dream these nights due to stress from work. Do you have any suggestions? Stress is a difficult one for lucid dreaming. Stress and depression is actually something I want to do a video about this year, because this time last year, I had depression for the first time because my mum's sick, and that saddened me, and I got really depressed, but I didn't know what it was. Like, because I had no reference point, I was thinking, oh, is it my diet? Is there some vitamin I'm not getting? Is it because I went vegan? Like, I couldn't work out why I just had no energy, why I was sleeping so much, but still waking up, not feeling refreshed, why I couldn't remember my dreams, and why I had no lucidity at all. So I found actually depression puts a big block on lucidity for many people. And I didn't know that before because I hadn't experienced depression. So if people are working with stress and depression, I would say probably the full-on lucid dreaming, waking up in the middle of the night, doing all that, don't do that. That's too much. Look at some of my exercises I've got that I call mindfulness of dream and sleep, which are things like yoga nidra, deep relaxation, meditation before bed, that kind of stuff. And that will help reduce the stress levels and allow the dreams and lucidity to come back. You know, eustress, which is the good type of stress, that can be quite good for lucid dreaming. And that's more like excitement. That's about falling asleep going, oh, wow, I can't wait to get lucid. I'm going to go to bed early because I've got this really cool dream plan and stuff. That's different, that kind of excitement we want. But just stress from work, family stress, depression, that can really drain our lucidity tank. So I'd say if you are experiencing that, probably best to just keep the lucid dream on hold for that little bit. Although my wife's done some really interesting stuff around meeting her depression in the lucid dream. Because in the lucid dream, you can meet personifications of psychological aspects of your own psyche. Let me say that again because it's super cool. Through lucid dreaming, you can meet personifications of psychological aspects of your own psyche. That means you can literally meet and dialogue with a personification of your fear, a personification of your depression, a personification of your rejection. I once met rejected Charlie. It was such a powerful lucid dream. And he looked like I did at the age of about 17. And I was at 17, I got a deep trauma around rejection and heartbreak and kind of all the drugs I was taking at that time. I was really kind of quite fucked up at that time. And when I met rejected Charlie, he appeared in that way. So back to depression, you could meet the embodiment of your depression and ask it, what do you need from me? How can I help you? How can I integrate you? Okay, people just saying they're going to check to get onto the Holy Isle and stuff like that. Okay, other people asking, do they have to do the wake ups in the middle of the night? No, all this crazy stuff about waking up at 3:30 and then me guiding you back into sleep and stuff. If that sounds like a nightmare, you don't have to do it. You have just as many lucid dreams on the retreat from people staying in their bedroom and either following the same schedule but in the comfort of their own bed, or just sleeping through and just getting more sleep than usual, giving them more REM periods than usual and more opportunity to get lucid. So no, you don't have to do the wake ups if you don't want. People asking about the shadow retreats. What is the difference? Big difference. The shadow retreat has like 10% of the same content as the lucid dreaming retreat, because it has a module on lucid dreaming and a few lucid dreaming practices, but it's brand new. So if you've done the lucid dreaming retreat and you come on the shadow retreat, there'll be very little crossover. They're totally different retreats. In fact, in many ways, doing the shadow retreat before the lucid dreaming retreat might even be more beneficial, because you go into the shadow, you unlock your energy, you deal with your shit, you release your fear, you release your shame. And with that added energy that comes from those releases, you'll have more prana, more chi, more energy, if you like, to move into the lucid dreaming practices. And if you've done the lucid dreaming retreat, then definitely come to the shadow retreat, because it's all brand new stuff. Okay, another question. People hitting a dry point. Yeah, after beginner's luck. Okay, so a lot of people, when they first get into lucid dreaming, like they might read not necessarily my book, they might read a book about lucid dreaming, or they might come on a lucid dreaming workshop and they have like few weeks or a couple of months where they're just nailing it. They're like, boom, I'm getting lucid on like weekly basis, couple of lucid dreams a week, high frequency, doing really well. And then after a couple of months, it kind of fades. I don't think that's beginner's luck. I think it's beginner's enthusiasm, or beginner's enthusiasmos. Now that term enthusiasmos is a Greek term. Enthusiasmos means possessed by the gods. Back in the day, they thought that when you met someone who had enthusiasm, they had the gods within them. So when we get into lucid dreaming, we can have this deep enthusiasmos towards lucidity, where we're like, oh my God, lucid dreaming is amazing. You can heal your body and you can do this amazing psychological work and you can work with post-traumatic stress disorder. It's just amazing. And we just go for it. And then naturally, after a couple of months, that starts to fade. It's a bit like when you first meet a lover and you've got that kind of first few months where it's just the honeymoon period and everything's amazing. They can do no wrong. And then you have the bit where you realize, okay, they're a human being. And there's a bit where you realize, wow, okay, lucid dreaming takes a lot of effort. It's not an easy practice, but it's well worth it. So what I'd say, if you are feeling that you've got a bit of a dry spot, what I do is try and like read a new book about lucid dreaming, or go and watch a lucid dreaming movie, or go and watch some YouTube videos where people are talking about how good lucid dreaming is, just to kind of remind myself. Because I sometimes forget. Like I literally read my own book, the benefit section. I'm like, oh my God, I totally forgot that benefit. Lucid dreaming is amazing for spiritual practice. It's amazing for prayer work. It's amazing for doing physical healing. Just to kind of remind yourself how good it is, and then cook up a really juicy new dream plan, which is like the intent, having an intention of what you want to do in your lucid dream. And that'll tend to help with the dry spell. People who are in a dry spell, I would say, what is your dream plan? Because people can be doing all the reality checks, all the dream diaries they like. But if they haven't got a really freaking good reason to get lucid, you'll find it hard to. Whereas on the counter, if you've got a really good reason to get lucid, you're like, wow, if I can get lucid and meet my inner child, I can really heal that childhood trauma. Or if I can get lucid and train in that sports, train in my athletic discipline, then I could win that martial arts fight I've got coming up. Do you know what I mean? If you've got a really good reason to get lucid, that's way better than all the techniques. So I'd say look at dream plans too. Just a couple more and then we will be done. Okay. Yes, some of the retreats sell out. The smaller ones like Anam Cara, where there's only 15 people, yes, they sell out. The Holy Isle retreats, they will sell out eventually, but they max out like 50 or I think it's probably 50 people. There was 60 last year and it was a little bit too many, 50 people. But at the same time, register your interest, do sign up. I'm not going to stop doing these retreats. I'll be doing more next year and everything like that. But who knows, we could be dead by next year. So if you want to learn lucid dreaming and shadow work, why not learn this year? Any questions, email me directly at dreamyoga@live.com. I'll put the link to the events page in the recording for this. Basically go to my website and all the information about these retreats can be found there. Yeah, and I'd love to see as many of you guys there as I can. Hope this worked for Instagram. First time I've ever done Instagram live. God, the quality is so much better on my phone on Instagram than it is here. So good story, bro. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I'd love to see you at some retreats. Peace, love, and lucidity. Whoop.